What is this stuff we are downloading?
Ho, 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 hello, and welcome to the cultureswally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is St. Nicholas on this wonderful Christmas Eve episode of the Swally. And as always, I'm joined by St. Gregolas. How are you, Greg?
Oh, very well. I was trying to think, if you're going to be St. Nicholas, what does that kind of make me in the Christmas pantheon? But I'll settle for Sir Gregolas.
Yeah, I'm going to give you that. I mean, I'm not going to call you. I was thinking about maybe the Grinch, but I'm probably more of a Grinch than you are when it comes to Christmas. So, yeah, I don't know why I did that. I fucking hate Christmas. Why am I? Actually, I don't. I used to, but I've kind of warmed on it again recently.
I love Christmas, so I do. It's brilliant. Well, last year we went home to Scotland for Christmas for the first time ever since we moved to the Middle East. It's always obviously at Christmas time. All the airlines put their flights up. Well, they used to before there was a pandemic and no one was flying. But last year we thought, let's book it early and let's go. And so we went to stay at my dad's in Cumbernauld, and like the kids had a really good time. But I think I was a wee bit grinchy, to be honest, because you know what it's like when you go home. You're kind of living out a suitcase, which is a pain in the arse at the best of times, but when your suitcase is also full of Christmas presents for people. And the other thing, and this is going to make me sound like a right Dubai wanker, but in the Middle East, you tend to have quite a lot of space compared to what you sort of take it for granted a wee bit until you go home. And then I'm in my dad's wee maisonette, and his living room's small. There's like fucking 12 of us all fighting for space in the living room on Christmas Day. Like my nieces and nephews are there. It's just noisy. Everyone's, all the kids are all excited, and I'm just not drunk enough. Do you know what I mean? I feel a bit guilty because everybody else had a good time, but I was thinking, I can't wait to get home. But then we also drove up to see my mother, who lives outside Aberdeen, and they've got a bigger house. But even, like, me and Paula had to sleep in the living room. So my sister and her husband, somehow they get the guest bedroom at my mother's. I don't know how that works. That should go to me because I'm the oldest. But she's the favourite, you see, so she gets the guest bedroom. My younger sister, was back in her bedroom anyway, her sort of childhood bedroom. And my kids were in what used to be my sister's bedroom when she lived there. And me and Paula had to sleep in the fucking living room on a fold-out bed. It's bullshit. So I'm glad this year that we're having Christmas here at home in Dubai, and my in-laws are coming for a month, so that'll be nice. And it'll
just be grateful you got a fucking bed when you slept, and you're moaning about sleeping in your parents' lounge. Poor Mary and Joseph had to sleep in a fucking stable on Christmas, and did they complain? No. They had visitors round, they had shepherds and wise men, and I think some dude called Gabriel came round as well. You don't hear them complaining. They fed fucking 8-9 people in a stable, and you're complaining about having to sleep in a lounge. You got to get your priorities straight there, mate.
I know it's a first world problem, but I don't think that Mary and Joseph catered for the wise men and the shepherds. I think they just kind of turned up with presents. And why would you bring like a newborn baby some fucking perfume? What's it supposed to do with it? And what's the is frankincense the perfume, or is it myrrh? One of those two things is perfume. What use has a newborn baby got for that?
Yeah, but maybe not every present is for the child. Maybe it's for the parents, or maybe it was for the child. It was to get rid of the stink of donkey shit in the stable.
Maybe it was. And I want to know what Mary and Joseph did with the gold, because as far as I know, Joseph was back on the tools when they got back, when they left Bethlehem. He's back to work as a carpenter.
I think it was straight down to cash converters. They cashed in that gold, and then he was down to the bookies and had it on the 3:30 at Jerusalem, and lost it.
The 3:30 at Jerusalem. Yeah, I know. I suppose there's plenty of people don't have anywhere to sleep at Christmas. Got to remember those people, even in these modern times when they aren't carrying an immaculately conceived child, you know.
Yes, of course, but we're going to remain positive here on the Swally today. It is our Christmas special after all. So coming up later, we are going to be looking at the 1984 Bill Forsyth classic, Comfort and Joy, which is all about the joys of Christmas. In terms of this week, have you seen anything in the news that has caught your eye in Scotland, Greg?
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
I have. Let me just bring it up here. So this first one, it's a bit of a short story. This one, the headline is "What the Truck," and basically on the A801, the road that connects Falkirk and Bathgate. Once again, Falkirk not failing to disappoint. Somebody's taken a picture of a truck driver standing naked outside his lorry in the middle of the night and appears to be pleasuring himself.
I'm sorry. So he's completely naked, and he hasn't just had a pee and he's had a couple of shakes. He's actually going hammer and tongs.
That is the contention here. I'll read you the story. This is the moment a trucker was pictured naked and pleasuring himself in a West Lothian lay-by. The bizarre snap from last night shows a man standing outside his lorry on the A801 between Falkirk and Bathgate. The incident is believed to have happened just before 11 p.m. According to witnesses, the male was seen pleasuring himself by the roadside as temperatures took a chilly plunge. One of them said, "I was on a rest stop and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was tired, so I had to do a double take. But yes, he was naked. Other motorists must have seen him. Cars were passing by all night." Now, they're making an assumption that the lorry belongs to this naked fella. So maybe it does, right? But he has to be pretty determined to be standing outside in the west of Scotland in late November with nothing on to have a wank. I know that it's probably quite a lonely lifestyle being a lorry driver. It doesn't say whether he's a long distance, whether he's one of these long distance lorry drivers or not. But still, I mean, that you have to be pretty determined, right, to get your kit off.
Well,
stand out there in the road.
There's two things cross my mind in this scenario, and there's two situations, really. Situation one, it isn't actually his lorry, but he is just such a fan of trucks. And, he could be a truck spotter or a truck collector, and he's seen this truck that he has been searching for years. And he was just so overcome with excitement that he had to take all his clothes off and have a wank.
Possibly. Yeah, you
That's option one.
What's option two?
Option two is that it is some sort of strange kind of ritual to the late Peter Sutcliffe, who was a truck driver.
It's some sort of tribute to the Yorkshire Ripper.
Yeah. It's a tribute to the Yorkshire Ripper that he has taken his clothes off. And nowadays, obviously, you can't get away with attacking a lady. I mean, you couldn't in Sutcliffe's days.
Pretty sure that was never okay.
No, it's never okay. So this is his peaceful protest, his peaceful tribute to the late Peter Sutcliffe. That's my two theories. Do you have anything, or do they go into anything in the article?
No, I mean, I've read you the whole article. Pretty short little story. It is possible that, to your point, the lorry doesn't belong to him, but it's some sort of like truck driver form of dogging. So rather than
I didn't even think about dogging. That's probably the most reasonable explanation.
So rather than a load of like weird guys standing round a car with their cocks in their hand watching some couple go at it, maybe the lorry driver stays in his cab and watches from the warmth of his cab while his mate stands outside with his clothes off and bangs one out. Maybe that's what.
Do we know that this lorry wasn't Optimus Prime and it's some sort of kind of fetish, that he's getting off? Maybe Megan Fox was inside his cab.
Maybe. But still, why would you take you? I mean, maybe Megan Fox was in his cab and he said something. They were about to, like, make love. He said something that's upset her. She's told him to get the fuck out the cab right now. And he's just been stood out there and he's been sort of half-cocked and he's thought, well, fuck it, I'll show her. I'll just sort myself out here. I bet that's it. I'll bet he had his girlfriend in the cab and they've had a row and she's fucking, get out of this cab. And she sort of chased him out into the night with nothing on. And he's just finished himself off in a lay-by.
He's just angrily staring at her.
Whilst masturbating. Furiously. Masturbating furiously at the side of the road.
Does it say he was furious about it?
Doesn't say that.
Was he? It doesn't say that how enthusiastically he was pleasuring himself.
I mean, there was one comment on here. So it's 11 o'clock at night, right? This guy that was a witness who said other motorists must have seen him. Cars were passing by all night. Just as well it was late. Hopefully no kids were in any cars that went by. I'm like, well, he's kind of made his own point. It's 11 o'clock at night. The chances of little kids being in the road at that time of night is unlikely. And two, I'm not sure, you would, the angle of the picture suggests that you would have to park up behind the lorry to have seen him anyway. If you were just driving past, you probably wouldn't have seen him. Anyway, Police Scotland have been contacted. So I'm sure we'll find out the identity of the lay-by wanker at a later date. But if you have any theories as to how he ended up naked at the side of the road banging one out, then by all means write in and tell us, and if we think it's funny, maybe we'll read it out.
Whilst we've been talking, I have been Googling, and there is a...
You see the picture, right?
You thought this... No, I haven't Googled this story. You thought this was going to be a short story. It's grown legs
right,
here.
Okay.
This is a website which is the UK's leading road haulage marketplace. So I think it's where people buy and sell trucks. And it's called returnloads.net, which could explain some of the instances. They have a list of the 15 most famous truck drivers in the world.
Right.
Now, I'm going to just mention a few because this list is fantastic. And these are effectively the 15 most famous people in the world who have driven a truck at once upon a time. So, for example, Charles Bronson. He used to be a truck driver.
Right. Okay.
Not the UK nutter.
No, the actor.
The actor, yeah. James Cameron, the director. He used to be a truck driver. Big Tam, Sean Connery. Yep. He was a truck driver at one point. Chevy Chase was a truck driver. Rock Hudson. Richard Pryor, Viggo Mortensen, Liam Neeson, Elvis Presley. Then this is where the list gets a little bit strange. It's true, though. Chris Eubank. Now, he does drive a truck.
Oh, he does drive a truck. He
does drive a truck.
That's his sort of chosen means of conveyance. He doesn't drive a truck for work. He drives a truck to get around the place.
Yeah, he does drive a truck. Then they mention... Robert Duvall, who apparently was a truck driver at one point. They mentioned Sylvester Stallone, I think because he drove a truck in Over the Top. And topping off our list, I shit you or not, Peter Sutcliffe.
Peter Sutcliffe?
He's down as...
the most famous person to drive a truck. Are you serious?
Just to read the bio that they've put for him, Peter Sutcliffe, otherwise known as the Yorkshire Ripper, Sutcliffe was notorious for a series of 13 murders between 1975 and 1980. Eventually, he was apprehended in 1981. He was given a whole life order, meaning he would never be released from custody. Sutcliffe also had experience as a truck driver. His job gave him so much more flexibility, allowing him to pick his shifts. He's arguably the most infamous truck driver ever. I don't know why I did that voice, but it felt like it needed kind of, one of those voices to do that list.
Yeah.
I can't believe that returnloads.net in their list of most famous truck drivers ever have Peter Sutcliffe.
I'm sort of shocked and stunned by that.
Next episode, we're going to have a look on, I don't know, cement mixers. Yeah. It wouldn't be cement mixers. It would be like big cement loads and see if Fred West is in like the 15 most famous builders of all time. He's got to be up there.
He's got to be. I mean, I can't think of a more famous builder off the top of my head, to be honest.
Bob.
Well, other than Bob the Builder, yeah. Well, yeah, that's my naked, masturbating truck driver story. What have you found this week?
It's Christmas, so I wanted to have some nice stories for Christmas, but I couldn't really find any. Well, I did. I found a few, and then I'm thinking, well, that's not what the Swally's about. You know, do I go nice? Do I go not? And then I saw the headline, Drunk Edinburgh Gran slashed neighbour's arm and shoulder with Stanley knife in violent row. And I thought, that's for me. That's for the Swally.
Yeah. They had you at Drunk Edinburgh Granny.
They had me at Drunk Edinburgh Granny, and they won me over completely with Stanley knife. It's not a funny story, so I shouldn't really laugh, but it is quite funny in a way. A drunk Edinburgh grandmother has left her neighbour with permanent scars after slashing her with a Stanley knife. To gloss over the story a little bit, this grandmother, Constance Blythe, who is 57, was having an argument with her neighbour, Leslie Clark, sorry. I'm skipping ahead.
It was a Stanley knife that was sharp.
Exactly. I'm reading ahead because Leslie Clark, she was having the argument with her with the sharp work tool in October last year. The pair became involved in a doorstep row. Now, you know how people get when they're having a doorstep row with your neighbour. Things can get a bit heated. Constance ended up ripping out a Stanley knife and left Miss Clark with 6 deep wounds on her left hand, arm and shoulder. The violent bust-up was only broken when another neighbour intervened and headbutted Constance in the face to stop the fight.
For fuck's sake.
Miss Clark had to be rushed to St John's Hospital in Livingston for treatment because her scars with the Stanley knife were so bad. So she's been left with permanent scars on the side of her body. Now, Constance has admitted the attack and said, it's a fair cop, I did it. And it's not really surprising because when the police arrived to her house, they came in and they found the bloody Stanley knife just lying on the coffee table. Constance, clearly absolutely fucking pissed.
And possibly concussed.
When they asked her,
as well, maybe.
Possibly concussed from the headbutt. And when the police asked her, all she said was, I was just trying to help the lassie. Constance, how on earth are you trying to help her by slashing her 6 times with a Stanley knife? Her solicitor, his defence was, it has to be accepted that this is a very serious matter. She is full of remorse, although she has absolutely no recollection of the events. This is something that comes up a lot on the Swally, of people that seem to have no recollection of anything that they've done. The evidence is clear. She has committed the offence. The DNA, the blood, it's all complete evidence. The fucking bloody Stanley knife on our coffee table when the cops turned up. Apparently it's very unusual behaviour because she has 2 grandchildren and she understands the gravity of this offence. Unfortunately, Constance was given a 6-month home liberty arrest order, so she has to stay at her home address between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. I bet her neighbour is delighted at that.
Yeah, she's right next door. I mean, I think everybody's stuck in the house in the UK at the moment anyway, right? Especially in Scotland.
Yeah, they are, and I think that's the thing, because I remember our hero from Falkirk a few weeks ago with the bookies, he was given the same kind of punishment, that you have to stay home between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Yeah, fine, that's okay. I'll manage that. I've got my Stanley knife. I'm sorted. The image of this grandmother battling with her neighbour, slashing her with a Stanley, and then another neighbour having to intervene and just headbutting her to stop. How do you stop the attack? I'll just go straight in with a head.
Straight in with a Malky. But what was a granny doing with a Stanley knife in the house anyway? Just in home protection?
I've no idea. Maybe she's a carpet fitter. You've no idea what she does in her spare time. Arts and crafts. I don't know. Maybe just... Well, I'll tell you what she's doing with her a Stanley knife. She's cutting up her neighbour.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing.
Well, my next story is a slightly different flavour to geriatric assault. Porn probe, this is. Scots Council launch probe after hardcore pornography shared by high school Twitter account. You've been listening to this and thinking, why is that funny? I don't think that's funny. I don't want my children seeing hardcore porn. Trust me, I've got 2 kids. I don't want my kids seeing hardcore porn either. But when it's someone else's kid, it's funny. Sorry, right? So a Scots council has launched an investigation after hardcore pornography was shared by a school Twitter account. The social media account for Taylor High School in Motherwell retweeted graphic adult images. So there's this. It's a picture of the first one. It says, Taylor High School retweeted. The tweet says, "Have a great week, pervy people," with the little emoji with the sort of hand over his mouth. It says, #pervy couple, #goon couple, #couples that perv together. And the picture's been scrambled in the newspaper, so I'm not really sure what's going on, but apparently it's a shocking graphic image. The tweets included sex scenes and pictures of naked men and women from a number of different Twitter profiles. The school account has since been deleted. North Lanarkshire Council have launched a probe into the indecent images shared after the school profile was compromised. A spokesperson said, "We immediately took action as soon as we were made aware that a school social media account had been compromised and offensive material posted." So this comes from the Scottish Sun. So they're just putting these screenshots of of these tweets up. So Taylor High School retweeted, "Ready for a hot bath. It's like a normal bath, but with you in it," winky face emoji. Then it says, #ass Wednesday, #thick, and #booty. And the picture's been scrambled, but my keen eye detects that it's a picture of a young lady with nothing on, bending over as she is drawing herself a bath. So yeah, that's Taylor High School in Motherwell.
Do you think there's any danger of the children actually following that Twitter account? I mean, would you follow your school's Twitter account if you were a kid? Surely it's more the parents that'll be getting to see
I don't even follow my daughter's school Twitter account, mate. If the school tweets anything that my daughters are in, my wife shows me. But apparently this isn't the first time that something like this has happened. Olympic swimmer Duncan Scott was doing a live broadcast to schools on Zoom. He was doing a Zoom stream. Obviously, I don't know what he was doing, talking about swimming, probably maybe demonstrating his backstroke. When the Zoom stream was hijacked and somebody played hardcore pornography. So I don't know if Duncan changed one stroke for another, but it's also happened as well on CNN. The Pornhub tab popped up on an election graphic. So during the presidential election a couple of weeks ago, obviously there's like constant footage all the time showing which states have voted red and which states have voted blue, and the Pornhub logo appeared on the election graphic. So there does seem to be a bit of a cyber crime wave, depending on how you look at it. A hilarious cyber crime wave where hackers are just dropping hardcore pornography in at the most inopportune accounts and moments. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, but in terms of the election, obviously they're just, showing a little bit of blue.
Yeah.
Or brown or pink, just depending on...
Just try to give us a break from the fucking endless coverage on every channel, all over social media, all over the internet, all over the fucking television.
Yeah, it's a bit traumatic. They just need to, have a couple of minutes to relieve some tension, and then they can get on with the rest of the election coverage.
I mean, I have to say, I did enjoy... There was a bit of a fad last year of people sending what appeared on the face of it to be quite benign little videos on WhatsApp, but they would say, "Oh, you've got to watch this with the sound on." And so you would put your sound up on your phone, and it would start off fine, like someone's telling a joke, and then they had dubbed in a woman clearly at the point of orgasm screaming her head off. So people would watch the videos in public and they would have to quickly turn the sound off. Do you remember I managed to get our mutual friend with it when he was at something to do with his kids or something like that. He was so angry about it that he outbid me on something on eBay. Do you remember? He fucking bid me up.
I do.
To get
yes, I do.
To get his own back, the prick.
Yeah, that was out of order. There's no need for that at all.
There's no need for bidding up your pal on eBay. Just take a fucking joke. So yeah. So what's your next story?
Now, we all know about the influence of television and whatnot. You know, we've all seen They Live. We know it's all about consume. Have you ever seen anything on TV and thought, that looks magic, I'd like to try that?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
All the time. Have you ever seen any drugs on TV and you've thought, that's magic, I'd like to try that?
Not recently. I think I've tried all the drugs when I was younger, so...
Okay, so, I mean, yes. My next story is about an Edinburgh University student who had watched a TV show with his pals on LSD. And they were all so taken with this documentary that they decided to try it. And this poor lad ended up getting arrested for biting 2 coppers in the park.
What is it with people bite? What is it with people biting the police? I've heard loads of stories about guys getting out of order and biting policemen. Yeah.
I do feel a little bit sorry for this guy, but I don't know. Who knows? He could have amazing defence lawyers. Effectively, this university student, he'd taken LSD. They'd been watching TV and they'd seen this documentary on LSD and thought, that looks great. Let's try that. So they obviously managed to get some LSD and they'd taken it. And this 20-year-old student was found by police officers in an Edinburgh park, staring blankly and not responding to their questions. They tried to get him into the police van, and he attempted to bite one of the officers on the head and another on the leg.
Fuck's sake.
Can you just tell me, just take a stab in the dark at what his defence is?
I was high on LSD.
You're close. It's, I have no memory of the
events. Oh, right, yeah.
That old chestnut. Yeah. To kind of get the story going, he'd consumed now, this is the thing. This is what makes this story even better. Him and his student pals had taken LSD in the morning, and they were found in the park at 12:40 p.m. Fucking lunchtime. They're in the park at lunchtime off their nut on LSD. He's unresponsive. The police have come up to him and he's tried to pull away. They ended up getting him down on the ground. They put handcuffs on him, but then he managed to bend and break the handcuffs. Now that is LSD strength. That is LSD strength. He then attempted to bite one of the police officers in the face. Now, this is where he gets a little bit unfortunate. The police officer dodged to get out the way, so he didn't bite him. But unfortunately, the police officer smacked his head off the van door and knocked himself out.
My life.
And had to be taken to hospital for treatment of bruising and swelling. They eventually managed to get him back on the ground and properly handcuffed this time. Then he attempted to bite another police officer on the leg. It was at this point they decided to put the spit hood on him. They got him into an ambulance and he calmed down. He was fine. He got taken to hospital. Everything okay. Now, this poor lad, I say poor lad, I don't know why I'm on his side so much. He is in the 3rd year of a master's course in physical education because he is studying to be a PE teacher. And that is his dream. Mr. McCory, he's originally from Aberdeen, good place. He got good grades in high school and has been very good at university. And him and his friends had seen this on a TV show about LSD and decided they wanted to experiment. He remembers taking the drug in the flat and then waking up in the hospital, but remembers nothing in between. How scary. That's very spooky. The judge has actually deferred the case until January to decide what he's going to do with him, because he realises that he's full of remorse. And he does realise that if he gets a criminal record, that's his, career fucked. Mm-hmm. You can't be a teacher.
Yeah.
And as they've said, it was one moment of madness and it could, ruin his whole life. I don't know. I think that's why I'm kind of erring with him. Like, fair play, poor lad. Like, he's 20, he's a student. Of course he's going to experiment with drugs. It doesn't mean that he's a bad person. He's just had a little bit of a bad trip and tried to bite a police officer. Fair play for taking LSD in the fucking morning and being arrested at 20-1 in the afternoon. Like, that takes some doing that in the morning, doesn't it?
Yeah, although, I mean, I've only taken LSD once, and...
In the morning?
In the morning, at school, when I was 16.
Oh.
My friend, who I won't name in case... I don't know what he's doing now, but him and I halved a tab of acid. And all that meant was that we just spent, like, the whole day laughing. It was a Friday, in 5th year at school. I think we took it during higher history. And I remember distinctly, because we had higher history in the morning, and then I had PE in the afternoon, but I had purposefully not taken my kit in because I had some work to do for English after lunch, and I hadn't done it at home, so I thought I won't take my kit in, and then I can sit and do it instead of doing PE. And we were doing The Great Gatsby. That was the book that we did for higher English. And I can't remember what exactly the line was, but there was a line in The Great Gatsby, and it's not a funny book. Great Gatsby. It's not a funny book at all. There's like no humour in it, but there was some line in it that made me laugh, and I literally laughed for most of the rest of the school day.
So you just got funny.
Yeah,
You didn't try and bite your teacher or anything.
No, but that night was also the first night the first and last night that I tried magic mushrooms. It was like, I mean, I have heard of people kind of losing their minds. There was always the kind of urban myths at school about guys that had taken... I remember the one that I used to hear all the time was this guy took acid and he thought that this bag of mini Mars bars were like running out the bag and trying to stab him. I heard that story about 100 times. I think I was still hearing that story when I started college. That story was still doing around. But I was very aware that I was on drugs. I wasn't like, oh, why is this happening to me? But all it was really was my perspective was a bit weird. I remember taking the dog for a walk that night, and it was a bit like, remember those Soft Mints adverts on Mr. Soft? It was a wee, it felt a wee bit like that. It felt like the dog was kind of further away from me than he was, like his lead was longer, but I knew that it was because I had taken drugs. I didn't think something was happening to me or anything. Do you have any more stories?
So
I don't have any more.
The only other story I have, and this is a Christmas kind of themed. This is from the Daily Record today, actually. This is exciting. And Greg, I think we would both appreciate this, living as expats. Did you know you can now send someone a bottle filled with fresh air from Scotland this Christmas? Are you taking the fucking piss? There's a company, they are fucking geniuses for thinking this up. How did I not think this up? They are selling bottles of fresh air filled from Scotland, England, Ireland and Wales to punters overseas. How much would you pay for a bottle of air from Scotland?
Probably fuck all.
Oh, they've got 2 special limited edition ones as well. You can buy a bottle filled with air from the London Underground, because who wouldn't want a bottle smelling of fucking tramp's piss?
And diesel, I know.
Or you can buy a fish and chips edition, which smells of air bottled in a fish and chip shop, presumably.
That's fucking... So what are they supposed to do with it? Because surely when you take the lid off, it's all going to rush out and the bottle's going to be filled up again with just your normal boring air, wherever you live.
Well, no, apparently not. This is technology.
All right.
They have this bottle. Now, to me, it's a bottle with a cork in it, right? But the way that they sell it, and of course, it's one of those things that's probably bought as a kind of joke present, or like I bought you a bottle of Scottish air, because you live abroad and stuff. Apparently, they say if you just kind of lift up the cork and take a quick sniff and put the cork back in, it'll last a few weeks. You'll be able to sniff home for a few weeks at least, and it'll help you with your homesickness. I'll be honest, I haven't lived in Scotland for 13 years. I love going back, but I ain't homesick. I don't want to smell the air. What I want to smell, inside of a chipper, maybe. I could maybe go that. Yeah, but they're charging £25 a bottle.
That's an absolute outrage.
It's absolute genius, is what it is. I wish I had thought of this. I am going to have to think of something for next year.
The big thing that I've seen a lot of recently, and I think you did this for your wife, is people buying like very small sort of areas of land, and I mean like sort of square meters of land in Scotland, and you sort of gift that title, so you become lady of this little bit of land or whatever, or lord.
I did. Now, the only reason that I did this was because we were watching Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an old series of Taskmaster. I think it was series 2. And Catherine Ryan bought Greg Davis a lordship for, I think they got given like £40 by Taskmaster, the best gift you can. So, bought a lordship. And my wife was like, oh, I'd love to be a lady. And I was like, okay, right, fair enough. Well, Christmas is coming up. Okay, I need a quick kind of gift that'll be funny but also a nice gift. So yes, I paid, well, I can't say because she might listen to this. It wasn't much. And yes, she is now a lady of Glencoe and owns probably a postage size area of Glencoe, but still, there you go. She is a lady. It's not worth the paper our fucking certificate is printed on. The frame that I bought to put it in probably costs more, but you never know. It's part of it, It's the thing.
Yeah.
It's more of a
fun
gift thing, But yeah, it's better than a smell of Scotland in a bottle.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's a similar thing. Was there not a company selling like plots on the moon a few years ago or something like that?
I don't remember. I mean, probably. But how can you like claim the moon? You know what I mean?
I think that was the argument, that nobody really owns it. So you could sell plots of land on it and it was fine.
I don't know. I didn't read about that. I mean, but I can believe it for sure. So shall we? It was your pick this week. You've already introduced it. The Bill Forsyth 1984. Is it a Christmas movie? I suppose it's set at Christmas. It's not particularly festive, but it's got a very festive title. Comfort and Joy.
No, it's not really a festive film, but it is a Christmas film. I will argue this because it is set at Christmas. So as you say, written and directed by Bill Forsyth, 1984's Comfort and Joy tells the story of Bill Patterson as early morning DJ Alan Dickie Bird. Alan is left at a bit of a loose end when his girlfriend suddenly ups and leaves him, taking most of his possessions with her. Later on, Alan witnesses an ice cream van being attacked by an angry competitor. He finds himself then in the middle of an ice cream war, taking over Glasgow, and ends up becoming the negotiator for both parties and tries to bring them together. Now, we'd mentioned this in the last episode. This was genuinely the first time I'd seen this film. But you said you'd seen it once before.
I had seen it once before, and not that long ago, I don't think. Within the last sort of 5 to 10 years, I think it was on the TV, and I watched it. I remember maybe BBC 4 or something doing a bit of a Bill Forsyth season, if you like, and I also watched that Sinking Feeling, his first film, but I just saw the end of it actually, and Gregory's Girl was obviously on as part of it, and then Comfort and Joy. So yeah, I had watched it before. I got to be honest, I don't think it's his best film. It's a wee bit slow in parts, I thought, Comfort and Joy. Normally I would sit and watch a movie for the Swally from beginning to end, but I have to admit I watched half of it and then watched the other half this morning. So I just got a bit fed up. I know, sorry. What did you think of it? Did you like it?
I did. Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it. It's not, I'll agree, it's not his best. I think if you're speaking about kind of the Bill Forsyth, his 4 kind of classic Scottish films before he went off to Hollywood is That Sinking Feeling, Gregory's Girl, Local Hero, and Comfort and Joy. Now, I think this is probably I'm not going to say the worst out of the 4, but it's probably the least
weakest.
The weakest. I think That Sinking Feeling has such a lovely kind of sense to it that it's, it was made on like a cheap budget and it's just his first film and it's so good because it's just so kind of put together and it has like a kind of lovely quality to it. Gregory's Girl, we've gone over on the podcast, is just wonderful. Local Hero, we will obviously do at some point, and that is just a incredible film. Comfort and Joy, it encapsulates all of the Bill Forsyth things. It's quirky and silly, but it's also grounded in this kind of calm, and it just taps into human nature. I mean, we'll speak about the film, but there are some bits that it's just my humour. There are just bits that it's just such a everything's normal, everything's grounded, and then just something will happen that is just so ridiculous, but not too ridiculous that it's completely obscene. It still could realistically happen, but it's just on the right edge of my kind of humour. I mean, effectively, this is about an ice cream war. So it is kind of based on real events, but in a humorous way, in that there's no drugs or murders kind of take place.
Well, that's the thing. When I was reading about the film, apparently it wasn't particularly well received at the time because, as you touched on there a minute ago, these very serious ice cream wars were going on in Glasgow, and a house was firebombed and a lot of members of the same family died. And Bill Forsyth had said that he had heard there was an ice cream war going on. He didn't know what the details of it were. He assumed that it was about ice cream. He didn't realise it was that these guys were using ice cream vans to sell drugs, and that's where the conflict was coming from. He genuinely thought that it was about ice cream, and he's obviously built this script around it. So it wasn't particularly well received, particularly in Glasgow at the time, which is a bit of a shame because Local Hero obviously had been massive, like a huge film. He managed to get Burt Lancaster in it, fucking icon of the sort of golden age of Hollywood, to come all the way to Pennon in the northeast of Scotland to be in this small film, and then this is his follow-up, and I just felt that I agree with you, there is lots of those sort of signature Bill Forsyth moments. Like, one that immediately springs to mind is when he's watching this attack on the ice cream van, and one of the attackers, when he's making his escape, runs up and recognises him as Dickie Bird off the radio and is asking him for an autograph, but he's got a balaclava and all on to hide his identity, and he's asking him for an autograph and asking him to play a song for his mother and all that kind of thing.
Hey! It's you, innit? It's Dickie Bird! Dickie Bird's here! For God's sake, in the car! Give us an autograph, Dickie.
I'm sorry, I don't have a pen on me, I'm sorry.
Come on to hell, let's get out of here! Give us a dedication at least, for my mother!
Yeah, sure.
Tomorrow morning!
Right.
You're man to man, you're Dean Mark!
Oh, bound to. What, memories are made of this or something?
Aye, lovely!
And what I will say is, Bill Patterson is brilliant as Dickie Bird. He's absolutely brilliant. I think he plays the part so well. So it does have all those kind of light touches that Bill Forsyth's very famous for. But I just felt I was a wee bit confused because in some ways this ice cream war that's depicted in the film is kind of ludicrous, and the more we find out about the protagonists in this ice cream war, the more kind of ludicrous it becomes. And arguably the resolution to it at the end is kind of ludicrous too. But earlier on in the film, there is more of a sort of sinister feel to it, especially when the ice cream van gets smashed up, because it's not just like they've come and flung some ice cream at the van or whatever. They demolished this ice cream van with Alex Norton's character and Claire Grogan's character in it.
I think, to touch on upon that point, it is quite sinister to begin with when you see the car pulling up and the guys getting out with balaclavas and they start smashing out, the van. But then Bill Forsyth pulls it back when you get Trevor, played by Alex Norton, coming out the back of the van and squeezing like raspberry sauce into the attacker's face. And that's when you have to laugh. And then, of course, Claire Grogan comes out and she's squeezing and she's like throwing ice cream at the guy as well. Yeah. And then, of course, as you say, they run off and they one of the attackers has to stop Alan and ask for his autograph and then for a dedication the next day. Yeah. So it's instantly broken up. But you're right, it does seem quite sinister. Mm-hmm. And to go back to your point about Bill Patterson being great as Alan Bird, and the thing about Alan Dickie Bird is you kind of think he should be a character that is like a smarmy arsehole. He's a early morning DJ. He's kind of got the life. He's got, the brand new BMW. He should be like a smarmy prick, but he's just such a nice, likable character as well. And he kind of wants to do good as well. He's a nice, well-rounded character, but he is obviously trying to find something to fill the gap in his life. And it's obviously the start of the film. You see him out with his girlfriend, who he's been with, as we later find out, for 4 years. And then she just all of a sudden ups and leaves him and packs up, what we're saying, like 98% of the flat that belongs to hers. As he says, everything belonged to her except for the mortgage. And he's trying to fill that gap. And that's when he stumbles into this. Well, in fact, the reason he stumbles into it is because he's trying to find the gap, and he goes out to replace the items, pots and pans, as he explains it. And straight away, he's perving on all the women in the shop. And it's because he's perving on Claire Grogan's character that he ends up following the ice cream van and ends up in the middle of this whole situation.
Yeah, and the thing is, the ice cream van, that scene is up at sort of Summerston near sort of Postle Park, and in the early 80s, you wouldn't go up there with a brand new BMW, even if you were following an attractive girl in an ice cream van. I tell you, if it was me, as soon as I saw that ice cream van take the exit for Springburn, I'd be going back. I'd be there, right, fuck it. And,
sorry, Claire, not today.
Yeah.
I'll see you when you get back to a more reasonable area.
Yeah, you're right. I think the film is sort of saved by those brilliant sort of Bill Forsyth light touches, but there's a lot of sort of little story threads that start that don't really come to anything. Like his pursuit of Claire Grogan, for example, because when he follows her and everything, and a bit later on in the film, he has a conversation with her in the warehouse and asks if he can take her out and everything, and then it just sort of fizzles out. There's no kind of And when he goes to see Ricky Fulton, who plays Hillary, the boss of the radio station, to say that he wants to do more serious journalism after seeing this attack in the ice cream van, and it doesn't really. He's down at the riverside there, and he's recording a sort of investigative sort of testimonial for a program, but then it doesn't really come to anything either,
Well, I could argue with you on that. I think, to your first point, there was a deleted scene. There was a scene filmed which comes in between the last two scenes of the film, which, to jump straight ahead, of course, the last scene is him in the radio studio giving his kind of last monologue on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And the prior scene is effectively him solving the ice cream war problems, but taking 30%. There's a deleted scene that goes in the middle of those two, and it is of him and Charlotte, which is, of course, Claire Grogan's character, effectively striking a deal that they're just going to do it together, the two of them.
All right, okay.
In terms of doing the
ice cream
the ice cream savior, and then I think, so that at the end, kind of him in the radio studio is more kind of him smug, he's got the girl, that's why he's doing that. But they left that out for some reason, and I think Bill Forsyth has said it would have kind of wrapped things up a little bit more, and made it a little bit lighter. In terms of him saying he wants to be a serious kind of journalist and doing the documentary, I mean, he does start doing it, but then he gets involved in the ice cream, because that's before he...
I think it's before he meets the McCools.
It's before he meets Mr. McCool,
I think so, yeah.
So that's when he then he gets too involved, and it's, the documentary's out the window. He's just trying to solve this. He's caught in the middle of it. So I think that's the issue. He's almost forgotten about the documentary. And then bear in mind, Hillary, his boss, does say that he's not getting back onto air until he's seen the psychiatrist, because he thinks he's mad because he's going on about this Mr. Bunny that he's trying to help, and that he's seeing all these Mr. Bunnies, and he has to go to the psychologist stroke sailing enthusiast.
Yeah, that's a bit of a nod to the old James Stewart film Harvey, where James Stewart's seeing this imaginary rabbit that nobody else can see. But the scene with the psychiatrist is actually quite good. When he's making the naval analogy about being between two boats on the rope and not being able to see either boat and everything, and the psychiatrist gets all upset because that's his story. Obviously, Ricky Fulton had told him the story earlier on in the movie from his Navy days. So yeah, I quite like that scene. I'm not sure who the actor was who played the psychiatrist. Never seen him in anything else. But I'd have to say, probably not the strongest performance in the movie.
No.
Maybe it wouldn't, right?
Probably not. I think only probably outdone by the actor who played one of the brothers. I think, was it Paolo?
Yeah.
Possibly. He was, not the strongest
Yeah.
of actors, but I think it's his only role that he's actually been in.
I really enjoyed Ricky Fulton's scenes in this. He's when we're first introduced to him, and his secretary's trying to show him how to use the computer. As Dickie's coming in, I keep calling him Dickie, as Alan's coming into the office, he can hear all these laughing and sort of suggestive noises, and not quite sure what he's going to walk in on. And there's Ricky Fulton and his secretary trying to get their head round the new computer. I think Ricky Fulton he's just one of those guys that I remember from when I was a kid. You just look at him and he makes you laugh. You know what I mean? He's just one of those really, really like unconsciously funny guys, you know?
I think, are we wired wrongly nowadays? Not wired wrongly, but like when I first saw that scene, I'm thinking, okay, sleazy boss trying it on with secretary. You know, back in 1984, this would have been fine. Then, of course, you instantly realise he's not that way at all. He's a really good, nice guy, and he's just the station boss, and he's a nice guy. He's helping. He wants to genuinely help, Alan. It's nothing sinister really going on there. But now we're conditioned when we see him there thinking, it's just a bit harmless fun and flirting. But we're thinking, oh, is he, going to slap her on the ass in a minute or something?
Yeah, I know. He's that scene's also got the great line after Alan's left his office and he calls up to try and find out if there's a sanity clause in Alan's contract. And he's like, no, a sanity clause. I don't know. You kind of wonder how much of that was written and how much of it was Ricky Fulton just improvising,
Yeah, I'd imagine that he probably had a fair bit of kind of free reign in that. And I guess a lot like, again, it says to Bill Forsyth, of course, and we've covered Gregory's Girl previously, and he had Chick Murray in there. So, was this kind of the same little nod of having Ricky Fulton in there as a little kind of guest starring role, but again, he does kind of steal a lot of the film in his performance.
Yeah, I mean, he did the same with Local Hero. He got Fulton Mackay, who used to play the kind of screw in Porridge. Ronnie Barker, he's got quite a big part in Local Hero, and if I remember, he eats every scene that he's in, even the one with Burt Lancaster.
Before we delve too far into the film, we have to give out one of our first awards of this film. And we're going to make this a regular thing. And it is in terms of the Taggart score.
Right.
Now, we tried it earlier on in the Swally, but we're going to make this a thing. So, can you think of someone in the film that would have a high Taggart score?
Alex Norton has got 61 Taggart appearances.
Yeah, now that... Okay. I can give you that. Now, speaking of Alex Norton, he has now become our outright leader in the Swally tally. He has 4 appearances. Out of the 10 episodes we've done so far, he has 4 appearances. He has been in Gregory's Girl. He has been in Orphans. He's been in Complicity. And he has been in Comfort and Joy. Dave Anderson and Stephen McCall are hot on his heels, though, with 3 appearances each. Now, okay, I can give you Alex Norton for that. Okay, you're going to win. I thought I had the winner, but you're right. However,
who did you have?
I had George, who helps Maddie move out at the start of the film. Now, it's Ron Donachie,
right,
the actor, and he's been in absolutely everything. He gets he can get the most Taggart appearances award, and I think he also gets the James Cosmo award for he has been in everything. He was in High Road for a while.
Right.
That's where I think I remember him from mostly.
Yep.
And there was an article in the Daily Record a few years ago about where are the stars of Take the High Road now, and he's in it. And the first line in his kind of biography says, definitely one of those actors you recognise from being in almost everything. Ron Seavey is pretty impressive. He's one of the ship's captains in Titanic. He's in Filth. He's in Game of Thrones. He's in Still Game. He's in Casualty. He's in Taggart. Not only is he in Taggart, he's been in Taggart 5 times. Not only has he been in Taggart 5 times, he's been in Taggart 5 times playing 5 different characters. That has to be a record.
Yeah, I mean, I think who was Frank Gallagher. I think he had done 5 different Taggarts as well, and 5 different characters. I think
we can revisit that then the next time Frank Gallagher's in something that we cover.
Yeah.
But I thought Ron Donaghy, 5 appearances, 5 different characters. That's an impressive Taggart tally. Taggart tally?
Taggart tally.
Too close to Swally tally?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sort of Bill Forsyth regulars in smaller roles. Oh, you've got Claire Grogan, who's famously in Gregory's Girl, but Robert Buchanan, who plays Gregory's pal in Gregory's Girl, and he was also, I think he was the lead in that Sinking Feeling. He pops up in the warehouse as one of Trevor's workmen, and like when Alan's leaving the warehouse and they're all eating their dinner off the bonnet of his car. Remember, got the toolbox in the cars. And I'm never sure I pronounce his name correctly, but Douglas Sanachan, who is in Gregory's Girl, has perhaps the best line in the movie. If I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window. He's doing the "Hello, folks" for the jingle, and where the guy's playing the jingle on the xylophone, he's doing the vocal. Did you spot him?
That's possibly one of my favourite parts of the film. It's so Bill Forsyth because it's so ridiculously surreal that he turns up at the Mr. Bunny warehouse and there's literally a guy playing a xylophone with, as you say, recording it.
Yeah.
"Hello, folks." Just over and over again. It's so surreal and it is so Bill Forsyth. I absolutely adore that. "Hello, folks." And then it's on a par with when, to skip ahead slightly, and hey, it's a Swally, we move around. When the Mr. McCool team effectively invade the Mr. Bunny garage, and they're all stood there with literally comical weapons. Like, this guy's got a massive mallet, and then this other guy's got a crossbow. And they're all, kind of running in, and then you see the guy with the xylophone and the "Hello, folks" guy just picking everything up, the table up, and kind of shuffling out to the side. And then the guy's got this massive, comical mallet, like you would see him in a Tom and Jerry cartoon, and smashing out of the ice cream vans. Just brilliant. That was, for me, one of the best parts of the film. It's a Bill Forsyth film when you see that.
Well, what I did enjoy about the film, actually, is, it's set in Glasgow and filmed on location. And there's quite a lot of spots that I'm kind of intimately familiar with. Like, for example, where he's trying to record his serious kind of journalistic piece at the quayside, that's where Frankie and Benny's is now. I obviously worked there for years. And when I think about, because I remember Glasgow in the sort of early and mid 80s when I was a kid, and it was just felt like it was changing really quickly. And where you see the Waverley, the steamer, I mean, it was still moored there, and everything sort of changed around it. So the Daily Record building that you see a couple of times, it was knocked down and a new one built in the same place. There's a load of new apartments opposite there, but they're not new now. They were new like in fucking 1987 or something like that. And then when they're in sort of North Glasgow, up near Sight Hill and near Springburn and everything, it's quite interesting to see how it changed over the years, And it's described as being kind of post-industrial Glasgow. I remember reading that in the blurb about the film. Kind of Comfort and Joy set in post-industrial Glasgow in 1984.
The other Bill Forsyth part that I really enjoy is, did you listen to the news reports as they're being read out on the radio?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they're all about war and death, but I particularly love the updates on the panda, who was gifted to a Russian zoo or is that Russian circus?
Russian circus.
It's a zoo from a Chinese zoo, and comical updates of, the panda might be pregnant. Oh, the panda is pregnant. And then the last news report, oh, the panda has died and she's going to be stuffed and placed as a tribute outside the zoo as a gift from China. It's so subtle, it might be missed by a lot of people watching because it's just, kind of the radio in the background. But again, it's such a lovely, subtle Bill Forsyth kind of joke that carries on throughout the film.
I like the jingles as well because, obviously you see, you hear all the jingles in the scenes when Alan's doing his radio show, but there's a lot of scenes when the radio is just playing as he's driving around. I was like, was it the one about the news and how we bring you all the news while you're in your car? I just thought it was really, really funny. But again, it's these sort of light Bill Forsyth kind of signature touches, that are in certainly all. I mean, I've never seen any of his films that he did in the US. I know he did one with Robin Williams. He did, I think, one in Canada and stuff. I've only seen his Scottish output, but they have almost a particular brand of comedy,
I'm the same. I don't think I've really seen much of his American output, if any. And I wonder if it does carry over the same. I know, especially the one with Robin Williams, I don't think it worked out too well.
No.
So I don't know if it did work. And this was his last film in Scotland until
Gregory's Two Girls. Yeah, I think the least said about that, the better.
Oh, we'll cover that in the Swally at some point, I'm sure.
So I was interested to find out that Eleanor David, who plays Maddie, Alan's girlfriend at the beginning of the film who leaves him, and also the actor Patrick Malahide, who plays his bestest friend, who's a doctor, neither of them are Scottish. They're both English actors. So when I was trying to decide who to give the Johnny Lee Miller Award for Best Scottish Accent to, I think I'd have to give it to both of them. What do you think? Both very convincing.
They were indeed, actually. I think probably both have an equal amount of lines as well, in terms of, Maddie has a couple of dream sequences.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's up to you. You can give that award out.
Yeah, I think we'll give it to both of them. They can share it. Joint winners.
Okay, they can share it. Joint winners. That's one thing I really enjoyed as well, in terms of, and I wondered if it would have been different in an American audience if it had been an American film. Very near. I mean, I think we're not even 3-4 minutes into the film, and it's well established that Alan is very much in this relationship with Maddie. They've been out shoplifting in Fraser's together. They come home, they have sex, they have a little drink, and then she just starts packing up and leaving him. It's not until later we find out they've been together for 4 years. And Alan's devastated at losing her, and that's kind of why he falls into this negotiation of the ice cream war. He doesn't try and get her back at all, though.
No.
During the film. He has a couple of dream sequences where he sees her, but not once does he try and get in contact with her or try and win her back.
Yeah.
If this had been like an American film, he's going to be trying to win her over by getting her ice cream. I've won the turf. I've solved the crime. I've brought these families to peace. No, he doesn't even think about, well, he thinks about her, but he doesn't try at all. Even on Christmas Day, when he's given his speech, he doesn't give like a heartfelt dedication to her or anything. I really like that he just doesn't even try.
He just fucks it off. I mean, to your point, if this had been an American film, the war between the two families would have been a lot more violent. There'd been like sort of drive-by shootings on ice cream vans and.
Do you think it would have been ice cream vans, or would it have been like hot dog stands?
Yeah, maybe. I suppose. They have ice cream vans in the US, don't they? I think they do.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they do. I think they do.
In terms of the Colin character as well, is it just me, or was there something quite sinister going on there? I couldn't put my finger on it, but he didn't seem quite the hero. I don't know. There was something about him. It was almost as if there was something there that wasn't quite right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But ultimately, it was all fine in the end. But he just didn't seem.
He was a bit dry, wasn't he? I think that was it. It was a wee bit. It was quite. Yeah, he was quite dry. I mean, the scenes at his house between him and Alan, I thought were quite good. You know, when these little girls and all that kind of thing, and the little girl brings the dolly in, and its fucking arms and legs and all that are off because she's been trying to operate on it.
Yeah, I like that, and I like the humour between that. However, did you see the size of the house? Why is Alan sleeping in the same room as the girls?
Yeah, I know that was a bit weird, but yeah, just for comic effect.
It's 1984. It was a different time. Obviously, paedophiles did exist then. We know Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, etc. We're not saying anything about Alan. He was a DJ, you know, just like Jimmy, but I don't think he was a wrestler. But why... Surely the house is big enough. Why doesn't he sleep on the sofa? You had to sleep at the sofa when you went to your mum and, you know, his house, and you're complaining about that. Surely Alan wouldn't have complained. He was pissed enough. He could have slept on the sofa. There was no need for him to be sleeping in that little girl's room.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. But, like, you know, it was a bit of a more innocent time. I don't think there was anything implied by him sleeping in there. I think it was just... It allowed a set up for a kind of funny scene, you know, between Alan talking to the wee girl about she wants him to play a record for some boy that she likes at school, but he can't know that it's from her. I mean, you mentioned earlier on shoplifting in the House of Fraser. I had that as my archetypal sort of Scottish moment in the film.
What, shoplifting from House of Fraser?
Yeah.
On Argyle Street. That's Argyle Street.
Buchanan Street. Well, it's in the corner of
Buchanan Street.
It's in the corner of Buchanan Street and Argyle Street. So
that's your archetypal Scottish moment.
Yeah.
Shoplifting out of House of Fraser.
Yeah. Well, what did you have for archetypal Scottish moment?
For me, it was when Alan has finished his meeting with Mr. McCool and he's leaving, and he says, "Oh, I think I've missed the shops. Could I get a pint of milk from you at all?" And Mr. McCool says, "Yeah, of course." And he comes out, and Alan, of course, offers, you know, Scottish way, let me pay for it. And Mr. McCool says, "Well, if you insist, it's 20 pence."
Here, let me pay for this.
Well, if you insist, it's 20 pence. That's exactly what we paid.
And that was my archetypal Scottish moment. Maybe just being a tight-fisted Aberdonian. That was why I came into it. I just found that quite amusing and quite, that's very Scottish. If you insist, it's 20 pence.
Yeah, I also had bird shit on the car. I mean, coming from Aberdeen, that's got to be something that reminds you, because obviously the seagulls in Aberdeen, you could come out to your car the next day and it could be a fucking different colour.
I did, yeah, but of course that's very symbolic that he has the bird shit and he's wiping it off, and then 5 minutes later he's wiping off the ice cream from the car roof as well.
Yeah.
That was very symbolic, yeah. Well, I guess, actually, no, I think we've both kind of done a disservice there. The most archetypal Scottish thing in it, which wasn't a thing at the time, but it is now, is deep frying confectionery.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good pull. I never thought of that.
No, neither did I until now. I'm just thinking about it. But yeah, deep frying ice cream is of course it's ice cream fritters back in the day, but did he effectively invent the deep fried Mars bar craze?
I thought it was a chip shop in Stonehaven, outside Aberdeen, that was the first one to come up with the deep fried Mars bar.
Well, it was, but I'm just wondering if
they were inspired by Comfort and Joy. Yeah, maybe. I mean, deep fried ice cream is very nice. It's got to be said. But it's not easy to do, for obvious reasons. And do you think Alex Norton plays a convincing Italian? It's like Scottish Italian?
No, he's not at all. Not at all. He is brilliant in this.
He is.
I do love him, and he delivers one of the... Because we were considering having a Swally kind of best use of swearing award for this. And I was looking at this film very closely. There's literally one swear word in the entire film, which makes it so lovely. You know, it's a wholesome family film. It's a Christmas film, of course it is. But he delivers it so beautifully when he's just like, "You brought them here, you bastard."
Yeah.
You brought them here, you bastard. You're a dead man, Dickie. You are a dead man.
He has to win it for that. But yeah, he's great in it. And again, because obviously it's not long after Gregory's Girl, he's still looking like a young Phil Collins.
Yeah. He is. And I think it was like the year before he would do his first Taggart, when he plays one of the suspects. But then the interesting thing about Bill Patterson in this film is this came out in 1984. So he made this the same year as he was in the Killing Fields. So you couldn't get a more opposite fucking film to comfort and joy than the story about Pol Pot and the Cambodia genocide.
No, it's quite different,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Going from that to, Ice Cream Wars in Glasgow. Yeah, it's quite a big departure there.
Despite me having a bit of a moan about the film when we started talking about it, it's got 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. In fact, most of Bill Forsyth's films have got very high approval ratings on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's because he's so loved and so wonderful.
He hasn't done he hasn't really made an awful lot. I mean, he's not made a film for like 21 years.
Yeah, I think he hasn't done a lot, but what he's done is great. I mean, I think, as I touched upon at the start of this, I mean, if you take those 4 first films, they're just so great because they're so quirky, but they're so grounded in reality, but just quite surreal in ways as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they appeal so much to certainly me
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the audiences. And I think that's probably why they're so fondly thought of.
Well,
He was ahead of his time.
apparently, Quentin Tarantino has a list of what he considers to be the coolest movies up until whenever, and Comfort and Joy is one of his movies.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
There's a document. I actually remember watching it when it was on the TV, but I watched it again on YouTube, and it was BBC Scotland were doing a series of shows where sort of two famous Scottish people would meet up with each other. So one particular good one was when Bobby Gillespie from Primal Scream met Irvin Welsh. So it was like when Irvin met Bobby, and they did when Bill Forsyth met Bill Patterson. So they kind of meet up in Glasgow. They obviously talk about, because they're almost exactly the same age, and they grew up not far from each other, quite similar childhoods and things like that. A big part of the TV show is to talk about the making of Comfort and Joy, which is why I watched it. And Bill Forsyth mentions that. He said apparently it's on Quentin Tarantino's list of coolest movies. And he said, I don't know if that's maybe where he got the idea for Mr. Brown and Mr. White, Mr. Pink, Mr. Bunny from Comfort and Joy.
I would love to see a Quentin Tarantino remake of Comfort and Joy. It would be a lot bloodier, I think. A lot more violence in terms of the ice cream war.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier to hand out the Francis Begbie Award for Best Swearing.
Yes, certainly would be. I had 2 good bits of trivia from this film. So Hillary, Ricky Fulton's office, there is a gold disc on the wall. It might seem a bit odd. It's a radio station.
Yeah.
But having a gold disc on the wall. That gold disc belonged to Claire Grogan, and it was from Altered Images' Happy Birthday.
Oh, really?
A genuine gold disc on the wall.
Oh, nice.
And my second bit of trivia is that all of the ice cream in the film was supplied by Peter Capaldi's family.
That's right, because I think you pointed it out when we did the Gregory's Girl episode, that the chip shop where Gregory meets one of the dates is one of the Capaldi family's chip shops. That's right?
Yeah, it's called Capaldi's.
Yeah.
And of course, Peter Capaldi himself is in Local Hero. So it's quite a link to Bill Forsyth there with Peter Capaldi.
Very good. What do you think the best scene was?
I do. It has to be the scene where Mr. McCool's squad kind of barge into Mr. Bunny's warehouse, and they've got all the comedy mallets and crossbows, and there's just this violence going on everywhere, but it's kind of comedy violence. And then Alan tries to escape in his BMW, and he does escape, but it's, they're kind of set upon by the Mr. Bunny team trying to boot the hell out of the car, and then once he goes off, they all stop and pause and then run back into the warehouse to kind of protect their thing. I think that probably is my favourite scene. What about yourself?
I think my favourite scene is the scene when the ice cream van gets smashed up near the beginning. One bit that did make me laugh out loud is when Alan comes back over to the van to see if everybody's okay, and Trevor's like, "Are you okay? Do you want a refill for your 99?"
Oh, and he's very much, no, it's all okay, it's all okay, it's all under control, it's fine. And then the van drives off, obviously completely fucked on one side. It's limping away. It is very, very comical. Also, the kind of low-speed chase through the streets when Alan puts the call out to Mr. Bunny on the radio show that he, same time, same place, and he's driving around this housing estate, losing him at dead ends and finding him, and ends up crashing into him. And Trevor's like, I was coming to find you, you dick. You didn't have to crash into me. And it's the seriousness of when he's like, this is my last van. That's my whole fleet out of commission now. Mr. Bunny is off the streets.
I did wonder because I got a bit nostalgic for the ice cream vans, because when I was a wee boy, my mum and I lived in Rob Royston in Glasgow, which is near Bishopbriggs, and we lived on a Barrett housing estate, and there was no shops on there. There was like 0 shops. So the ice cream van used to come a few times a day, and they were still building everywhere in this housing estate, and like they didn't put fences up or anything to keep you out. So we used to play in the building sites, but we used to go looking for empty bars bottles, like empty Iron Brew bottles and things, because you could go and quite often the workmen would leave them behind, and you could go and take them to the ice cream van and they would give you 10p for them. But I don't know if this was intentional or not, but did you notice right in the front of the ice cream van, so you're in marketing, right at the front of the ice cream van, that's like prime, it's like, this is what I'm looking for, it's like prime real estate for moving products. You would have like your impulse items there. They've got, do you remember Ascot?
Yes, I did notice the Ascot powder, yeah. That was one of the first things I noticed.
The campaign for Ascot when I was a kid was, the adverts were always guys with fucking dreadful hangovers, looking at themselves in the mirror in the morning, and they would have their Ascot to straighten them out so they could get on with their day after like a heavy night the night before. So why the fuck would you be selling that right at the front of an ice cream van? But then,
well, maybe that's the thing. What's better for a hangover? You get a nice ice cream, a glass bottle of Iron Brew, and a packet of Ascot.
I don't think they make Ascot anymore.
Yeah, funnily, I did think that when I saw that. I did get quite nostalgic, and it brought back a lot of memories. I mean, I'd imagine at that time in Glasgow, you were getting a kind of different kind of powder from your ice cream van when you were going there. So maybe it wasn't Ascot that
maybe
was in
it wasn't. Yeah, maybe not. So yeah, have we done all the categories? We can't do the Hugh McGregor award for gratuitous nudity because obviously it's a festive family film. No one gets their kit off. I think the most is near the beginning when Dickie's got his shirt unbuttoned right down to his sort of navel. We've done the James Cosmo Award for being in everything. We've done the Swearing Award, the Taggart Award. We haven't done the Sean Connery Award for Who Won the Movie, also known as Who Got to Go Home and Fuck the Prom Queen Award.
That's a good point. Who won the movie? Obviously, you can't really look past Bill Patterson.
Yeah,
I would say for this, I think he really does. You could say Ricky Fulton kind of steals a lot of the film.
Yeah.
For the 2 scenes he's in.
Yeah.
But I think Bill Patterson wins the film.
Yeah.
For me, definitely.
He's very good. He's very, very...
he's a nice guy. Like I say, he should come across as a smarmy arsehole, but he's a really nice, likeable guy, kind of do the right thing. And you can see that when he's in the hospital speaking to the old woman.
Yeah.
He genuinely cares, and he's genuinely nice, and he's happy to take over his colleague's Christmas afternoon shift so he can spend time with his family on Christmas Day and do that. And, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he wins the film for me.
Did you notice the 2 guys when he was recording the commercial, and the 2 guys, one's wearing a Superman t-shirt and the other guy looks like Clark Kent?
I did notice that. I meant to look up who they were, actually, because they're just in it for such a fleeting moment, but they did leave quite an impression for me. Almost as much of an impression as Claire Grogan, who, of course, isn't credited as Claire Grogan in this. She's credited as C.P. Grogan.
Yeah.
She doesn't have many lines. The ones she does, most of them are in Italian because she's meant to be Italian. Yeah, she looks lovely in this film.
She does. I was thinking that. You think about it, this is what 3 years after Gregory's Girl. She I don't know if it's. I think John Gordon Sinclair is quite a tall guy, so she looks quite short next to him in Gregory's Girl. But in, I guess Alex Norton's not a particularly big guy, so in this she looks quite tall. With a perm and everything, and yeah, she's foxy in Comfort and Joy.
Yeah, Gregory would be beside himself if he saw her.
Yeah.
In that ice cream van.
But I think we just don't really see enough of her, I don't think.
No, it's a shame. It's a very small, kind of limited role and very mute. I mean, I guess she was quite busy with altered images at this time.
Yeah.
But it's a shame, but good on her for coming back for a Bill Forsyth film, because she probably didn't need to at that time.
But the other thing that we've not mentioned actually is the soundtrack has Mark Knopfler once again providing the music, but not quite as distinctive as his score for Local Hero, I don't think. I mean, I can't even. I mean, I could whistle the Local Hero music right now, but I couldn't. Even though I watched Comfort and Joy this morning, I couldn't relate the theme tune.
There were a couple of good tunes, but yeah, you're right. It's not instantly recognisable and memorable.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of parts that I think it was especially when the big fight's going on and Alan's kind of running into his BMW. There's a certain it's like a little electro kind of score that I was like, oh, that's quite good. It's kind of, it was very much, 80s.
Yeah.
Early kind of score, and it was very good. But yeah, of course, I guess you can't speak about it without speaking about the soundtrack and him, Mark Knopfler doing all of it. And of course, Alan at one point does say, references something about being in dire straits.
Well, that's the thing, because there's a few lines. The Dire Straits album, Love Over Gold, there's a few lyrics from some of the songs on Love Over Gold in the script. And Rufus, the other guy who works in the radio station, he is talking about something and he kind of quotes this line. And Alan shakes his head and goes, oh, Dire Straits. And I didn't really realise it. Because I'm not familiar with Love Over Gold or the songs on it. I think the only Dire Straits songs I know are Money for Nothing and Walk of Life and Brothers in Arms, 3 songs. But when I read about that today, and when I remembered it did make me laugh, because it's quite a sort of tongue-in-cheek wink at the camera moment, and I like that kind of thing, So, are you feeling festive now after talking about Comfort and Joy?
Yeah, extremely festive. I'm ready to rock and roll. Christmas Day tomorrow, so yeah, it's going to be all good. But no, it was nice to, I can't say revisit Comfort and Joy, because it was the first time I'd seen it, but it was really nice to watch it. It's just festive enough for me.
Yeah.
So I was very happy, and I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say I find it boring. I'll be honest, I think it's slightly over our Swally mark, and I think it's an hour and 44 minutes. But it flew by when I watched it. I think I watched it one afternoon.
Right.
And it just flew by for me. Really enjoyed it.
Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's loads of parts of it that I really enjoyed, but I just think sort of overall it was just a wee bit slow for me. I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, I think we're going to maybe move things up a pace then in terms of the next episode when we do a New Year's special. What are we going to look at that time, Greg?
Well, obviously this is going out at Christmas, so we've covered Comfort and Joy as our festive movie. When I was growing up, every Hogmanay was Scotch and Rye before the bells. You would have the fireworks from Edinburgh. In fact, I don't even know if they were even doing the fireworks in Edinburgh when Scotch and Rye were on. Maybe not. But I remember when I was just old enough where I was allowed to stay up for the bells, so probably about 9 or 10 or something like that, we'd watch Scotch and Rye every year. So we're not going to watch every single episode that was ever made of Scotch and Rye, but we're going to watch some best-ofs. I'm looking forward to... Because I've not watched Scotch and Rye since it was on, and I don't think it's been on for about maybe 20 years, maybe even longer than that. I enjoyed seeing Ricky Fulton in Comfort and Joy. I'd forgotten just how funny he could be, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've seen any Scotch and Rye, and I'll look forward to watching that and talking about it next week.
So have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. And you too. And to all our listeners, have a wonderful Christmas. And we will speak to you next week in New Year. Thanks very much for listening. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can follow us on Instagram at cultureswally, or you can follow us on Twitter at swallypod. And if you would like to email us and get in touch with us with any amusing Scottish news stories you've seen or anything you'd like us to cover or review, then drop us a line on cultureswally@gmail.com. So, as we mentioned, have a very Merry Christmas.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Thanks very much.
All the best.
All right, Merry Christmas. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.